All right, so welcome to this Q&A. Again, want to welcome to this Q&A. Bunch of questions came in. See how many that we get to. First question is, why does the Torah prohibit witchcraft? Torah says many times, different types of witchcraft, sorcery, that a Jew is not allowed to do. Seemingly, a non-Jew also should be forbidden, even if they don't convert. The question is, okay, why is it forbidden? So they say, in my understanding, making changes in spiritual realms, which then reflects into the physical. So let's understand what is the what is the purpose? What is the purpose of witchcraft? I mean, real witchcraft, not any of this fake stuff that's out there. What about, actually, you know, tapping in to forbidden things? Ouija boards, different things that have power. Because tapping in to the dark side, we would call it, not hard. All I have to do is say magic formula, different things, and a person can do it. Right? Seemingly, it's not that hard. You don't need to be in a high spiritual level to do it. So the question is that it gets power also. It certainly get power, depending on, what you're trying to tap into. So the question was, or their understanding is, making changes in spiritual realms, that which then reflect in the physical. All right, not bad. I wouldn't say it's a bad answer. But the idea is it weakens God's presence in this world. Why? If you see what happened in Egypt, right? Few of the first of the plagues that the sorcerers in Egypt were able to do. But they had power to do it. Why did God allow them to do it? Right? Better question. Why did God allow them to do it? In order for Pharaoh to say, see, you think you got, supernatural powers, you got powers. My people have powers, right? The greatest sorcerers at that time. So they said they also have power. So sorcery is power. But what essentially does sorcery do? Right? So here, someone's making the claim, changes in the spiritual realms are reflected in the physical. You're taking things you're not allowed to play with. Yeah, not allowed that power over, so to speak. God put it in the world, allowed people to tap into it. He gave that special power. Abraham gave over to the children of Keturah, of Hagar. He gave everything in spiritual terms to Isaac, to Yitzchak. And what did he give to Keturah? The children of Keturah? Gifts. Rashi says, what gifts did he give them? Names of God, impure names of God. And he sent them to the east. So the reason there's so much impurity in the Far East, because of this, is sorcery. So you can ask the question, okay, I could have, thought of a lot of things Avram could have given, to these children. It would have been on my top 10 list to give them names of God, right? Play around with, or to tap into. Wouldn't probably in my top 500 list of what he would have given his gifts. So Rabbi brings down, says, should be well, brings down his commentary on Chumash and Tam V'das, and he says, why did he do it? What was the reason? The reason was because they're going to tap into that. and they're going to go far away. They're not going to have any connection to Judaism whatsoever. So what did he do? So he gave them something that's going to put them far away. Very, very far away. They will not ever interact with Jews. They won't have anything to do with Judaism, and he pushed them far away. That's the reason he gives. Now, could be other reasons. Could be many other reasons also. But that's the reason he gives. So I would still ask the question, okay, so he's putting it out there so they can tap into it and they'll go far away, have nothing to do with Jews, and no one's going to make the mistake and think they're Jews. But there's a question here. But why give them that? Why allow them to tap into that? To separate themselves from Judaism. That no one's going to mistake them as Jews. Could ask the question. But what does it do? And give a person power. A person can have power, let's say, over angels. Right? You don't have to be on a high spiritual level here. You shouldn't do it. Right? Torah says it's forbidden even to use a pure name of God. To save lives, you're not allowed to do. It could cost you your life. Right? So one of the rabbis went up to heaven before destruction of the temple and asked the heavenly court, let me say one ineffable name of God, and I'm able to stop the destruction. And what did the heavenly court say? Survey says, no, can't do it. Slap him back in his body, destruction happened. That's even to save lives. Save lives weren't allowed. So tapping in, what does it do? What does it do? Tapping into the dark side. And why does the Torah say it's forbidden? Because essentially you're giving power to something that has power. True. A person could tap into it, forbidden, but a person could tap into it. But you're tuning into something that you're taking power away from God. It's weakening God's kingship. You're going to say, okay, very good. In other words, people are going to think they have their own power. And they can do certain things. Right? One of the things we say that, JC walked on water. How was he able to do that? Right? Let's say he did it. How was he able to do it? So he took an ineffable name of God and carved it into his leg. I don't know exactly where it's brought down. I've heard it many times. And that he was able to do miracles. Be able to walk on water. Some people say never existed. Okay, whatever. Right? But for argument's sake, let's say that's what he did. Now, obviously, it wasn't a good thing to do. But that's what he did. So you could ask the question, okay, the Torah says many times don't do it. And if the Torah says many times don't do it, why did God put it out there? So in Isaiah 45, chapter 45, verse 7, the Torah says very clear, God created evil. That's what he did. Created evil. Now, people make the mistake and they'll say, God is evil. In other words, if he created evil, right? If he created evil, must be he's evil. Now, the Christians obviously mistranslate it, right? And they say, they mistranslate it. Because where does evil according to them come from? Right? Mistress, Satan, the evil inclination, angel of death, whatever you want to call them. That's where evil comes from. That's where evil comes from. So they have to mistranslate it. But Isaiah is a prophet. Everyone agrees he's a prophet. Right? So he says that God created evil. Comes on the Ramchal and Derech Hashem in the way of God. And it's one of his famous books, The Way of God. And he says God created evil. Why did he create evil? He created evil to tempt man, to give man free will. Obviously better, you don't tap into it. Good. But he put it out there. So a person wanted to tap into it, which is forbidden, you can tap into it. But what essentially does that do? What does sorcery do? So the question was, It makes change in spiritual realms which reflect in the physical. Yeah, it can have a spirit. You can have power over something spiritual. It can have effect in this world. That's true. That is true. But what's behind it? Even if that changes the reality, we're not allowed to play with creation. Right? Now, technically speaking, God allows certain things to happen, doesn't stop it necessarily. He could, he doesn't. Crossbreeding. Someone takes a Jew or a non-Jew, takes a, peach and a plum, they put them together, what do you get? A nectarine. So that for a Jew for sure is forbidden. You have to get benefit from it. From a non-Jew, it's a good question if it's forbidden. It's also playing with creation. Yeah, God allows it. God allows the action to happen. He doesn't stop it. But let's say, take a mule. A mule, an unbelievably strong animal. Hybrid between a donkey and a horse. What's the problem with the mule? Sterile. No, I don't think that's a coincidence. It wouldn't make sense to be a coincidence. Very strong point, right? What's God saying? Okay, I'll give you the ability to do this. I won't stop you from crossbreeding. But I'm going to make that thing not be able to reproduce. And again, it's a very strong animal. Very, very strong animal. Very good. One major drawback. I guess if you could clone it, right, then, you get into cloning, okay. If you could clone it, so you wouldn't have an issue. You keep cloning it, okay, but it can't reproduce on its own. All other animals should be able to reproduce if God wants them to. It wants their species to survive. Very good. They'll reproduce. This doesn't reproduce. Now, is that a coincidence? I don't think it's a coincidence. Right? Why not? Very simple. Very simple. You're playing with creation. So non-Jews also be forbidden to play with creation. Wouldn't be, death penalty. But it's still forbidden. Right? According to many, it should be forbidden. But you're allowed to get benefit from whatever you did. Right? Peach and a plum, you make a nectarine, you can eat it. It's permissible. Right? Across the board, everyone knows you're allowed. You're allowed to eat it. But what's the problem here? If God put it in, gave people the ability to do this and to figure this out, what's so bad? Right? What's the problem? And the issue is you're playing with creation. That's the issue. Right? That 100%, that 100% is the issue. Now, does God want you to play with creation? No. Does he stop you? Doesn't stop you. Doesn't stop you, but that's the problem. So, therefore, the Torah says many times, different types of sorcery, that's forbidden. And you're not allowed to tap into it. Even potentially to save lives. Still be forbidden. Right? The halacha is you're not allowed to do it even to save lives. Well, the issue is, though, if you're doing this, it could have severe negative effects. It could corrupt you, it could kill you, literally. And there are stories. There are stories of people, play with Ouija boards. Some people say, oh, come on, don't really mean anything, this and that. Okay, but, stories that happen. Playing with Ouija boards. Trying to bring up souls, different things, find out the future, find out what's going on, in the spiritual world. There are many stories. Many stories. People have did this and, like I said, they died, but, there are issues. They had issues. So again, what's the problem? The problem is you're playing with creation. You're playing with things you're not allowed to. You're giving something power that takes away power from God. Now you're going to say, how can, if God's all powerful, we know he's all powerful, right? He's all knowing, he's all powerful. How do you take away from him? in this world. Well, if we saw God's power and might in this world, in front of our eyes, and it wasn't hidden within nature and hiddenness within hiddenness, and it was revealed, good. But see, God's hidden. We don't, we see things, but, it's hiddenness within hiddenness. You have to have the eyes to be able to see. But the reality is what happens. What happens if it's not revealed, right? If it's totally not revealed, what happens? When people say, statistically it could happen this way. Statistically it could happen that way. Something else could happen. Okay. Could happen. But you're taking away from God. You're weakening his power in this world. That's what sorcery does. Essentially, it's giving something power, which it does have power. Yeah. But it only has power because God gives it power. Right? We can't make that mistake either. Because, as the Chosrof says at the beginning, in Shar Yichud, the gate of God's oneness, God's uniqueness in the world, which no one learns. It's a hard gate to go through. But basically proving A, God's existence, and B, the fact that he's in charge of the world, but we can't understand his essence. Right? No one can understand his essence. But over there he makes clear, that there's only one God. Right? That's another thing he proves. That there's only one God. But at the same time, he says, you look at Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, Gracious Baruch, God created the heaven and the earth. And what was before God created the heaven and the earth? God. And what was he doing before he created the heaven and the earth? Commentaries say he was busy creating, destroying worlds. Very good. Yeah. Busy creating, destroying worlds. Now, if you say, as Chosrof says, if you say God has the beginning, what is the intention of that? That means something came before him. That means he wasn't the first. If he has the beginning, someone made him. Something made him. Yeah. And that can't be, because God's absolute. God is unique in the world like no one else. Very good. Well, let's take it one step further. So if God created everything in the heaven and the earth, forget about what he was doing before. It doesn't matter. He created everything in the heaven and the earth, meaning everything in this world, everything in the spiritual world, angels, planets, sun, the moon, all that. God created everything in the spiritual world. God created everything in the spiritual world. That means where they come from. By definition, God created them. Very good. If God created them, they don't have independent power. They're not greater than God. By definition. Because God created them. I'm sitting at a table right now, no one can see. Right? So obviously, someone made it. Very clear. But the table's got its own power. Came by itself. Right? Came down from heaven. I don't think so. Actually, it came in pieces. Had to put it together. An IKEA job. Yeah. Whatever. It doesn't have its own power. It was created by somebody. Obviously. So if God created spiritual forces don't have their own independent power. Right? This is a mistake a lot of people make. Right? Especially the Christians. And that is, Mr. S, the angel of death, the evil inclination, whatever you want to call him. Right? He has independent power. How can he have independent power? No such thing as an angel having independent power. See that by the book of Job, that Mr. S wants to tempt him. God says, okay, man, I'll let you do it. You can't kill him. What does that show? He can't do what he wants. You can torture him. You can do other things. You can't kill him. God says you can't kill him. Direct command. Angel cannot go against a direct command. Can't do it. Does not have independent power. right? So then the question becomes, people say, oh, fallen angels, got a proof from the Nephilim. In Genesis, right? They always ask the easiest questions. Of course, fallen angels. So let's analyze. God tests them. They complain. They say, hey, if you would have given us the Torah, we wouldn't have sinned. Man, does all kinds of terrible things, this, that. If you would have given us the opportunity, we wouldn't sin. God says, really? He says, I bet you will. He says, I bet you will. They say, okay, test us. God says, great. I'm going to throw you in a body. I'm going to put the angels in a body. What happens? They go after the women of the earth. Now, how can that be? How can that be? An angel's in a body. The angels in the body shouldn't have free will. Should not have free will to do what he wants, or she, or whatever, right? To do what it wants. So how can there be such a thing as a fallen angel? An angel, a soul, has to be in a body. Cannot be in this world without being in a body. They don't just float around doing nothing. Has to be in a body in this world. So now the $1 million question gets more complicated, a lot more complicated. And that is, if you put an angel, a spiritual being, whatever you want to call it, you put it in a body, right? You put it in a body. What is that person now? What is that? I shouldn't say person. What is that being? Is it human? Or is it an angel? It's like, come on, it's an angel inside the body. Good. It's in a casing. But what is it? Can that body now fly? No. Can that body now do things that angels do? No. Unless it be a demon. I mean, a demon might be different. A demon, which we don't have contact with, pretty much, a demon has some human characteristics and some angelic characteristics, right? One of the things it can do is it flies. It can fly. But it's in a human body. Okay, but it's a different spiritual force without getting into it. Now, this angel goes in the body. And what happens when the soul goes on the body? The body has control. The soul is at a tremendous disadvantage. Been speaking about this for weeks. The soul has a tremendous disadvantage because the body from the get-go, once a person is born, once a child is born, all the body wants is desire. That's what it wants, physical desire. If the body wants physical desire, right, and every day and every second of every day, it's going to want physical desire more and more. How in the world can the soul survive? Impossible. The body, as we said before, has own core advantage, comes from the dust of the four corners of the earth. The soul is a stranger, right? As the Chosavova says. The soul is a stranger in this world. Comes from the spiritual world, now it's stuck in the body. And the only reason it can really shine, or the only way it can really shine, is if it's not in the body, right? It's in the spiritual world. But how does the soul get the spirituality all in this world? It's trapped. The Chosavova says only one way, Torah. Torah's got the ability to illuminate the soul, purify the soul. But there's a battle. It's a battle between body and soul. Good. Now, you take an angel. That happens to its soul. Why wouldn't that happen to an angel? Right? An angel goes in the body, and the body's able to function. Very good. So the angel's like, pulling all the levers, in control, but that's not true to a certain extent. So the body functions. Very good. But the angel now is in a physical body. And the physical body, coming from this world, much stronger, has huge advantage, home field advantage, as I would say. It's got the home field advantage. If it's got the home field advantage, how's the angel going to stay pure in that body? I mean, it sounds like bad sci-fi. Yeah, how's the angel going to stay pure? You're going to say, but it's so powerful, but it's stuck in the body. It can't be, it's not a pure angel in that sense that's doing God's will. Now the angel's got free will. I don't know exactly how it works, but he's got free will. He can make decisions. Oh, he can make decisions? Look what happened. They went after the women of the earth. But an angel should be able to do that, right? That's the whole question. An angel shouldn't be able to do that. And the reason is because he doesn't have free will. But you're going to say, see, he fell. It must show he's got free will. But what is this person? Is this person just an angel, an angel controlling it and got carried away? Or is it in the body, and the body had an effect on it, like it has an effect on every soul, and therefore it went after its desires? Because really, what's an angel gonna, if it's only doing God's will and understands that, whatever, it really has no need. Now it's in the body. Now it's a different entity. Now it's a different thing. Right? So everyone will use that as an example. They say angels have free will. Okay. This angel in the body. That's the obvious question here. This angel in the body, is it really an angel right now? Or is it a spiritual force in a body? And then there's a fight between the body and the angel. And who won? The body. The body clearly won. So God made a point. And God says, oh, you think you're going to be in control like you're up here? And you're a spiritual being, you're doing my will? Okay. I'll put you in the body and you'll be no different than men. You'll be no different than mankind. You also stray. They're like, oh, test us. God tested them. They failed. They failed. They're human. Right? They had human characteristics. Oh, but we're so much superior. You're stuck in a human body. You're stuck. Even as an angel. So the point is God created evil. And he allowed people to tap in. Very good. He allowed people to tap in. Does he want them to? No. Does he want them only to do God's will? Yes. That's what he wants. That's exactly what he wants. For them to do God's will. Can they choose to do other things? Sure. We have free choice. Angels don't have free choice. Yeah. So, again, that is going to be the struggle that every person is going to have, to do good or to do bad. The struggle, the essential struggle in man between the body and the soul. That's it. It's going to be forever till you die. That struggle will always be there. Now, sometimes you can't do certain things. Your body's not as strong anymore. You get older, very good. Right? It doesn't mean the body's dead. But there's a battle. There's a constant battle. Now, someone asks, where do demons come from? Same place where spiritual forces come from. Where does a demon is a spiritual force? Where does the spiritual source, the spiritual force come from? Gracious, all right, it's God created the heaven and the earth. He created everything in the heavens and everything in the earth. So if he created everything in the heavens, what did he create? Spiritual forces. Angels have different levels, different functions. So demons are essentially angels. They are called, or within the category of a spiritual force. They have certain characteristics like angels, certain characteristics like humans. Very good. They have the status of a what? Of a spiritual force. Now, so let's backtrack. Where did spiritual forces come from? God created them because he created the heaven and the earth. He created everything in the heavens. What did he create in the heavens? Spiritual forces. He also created the sun, the moon, the stars, okay? Right? Black holes. But he created spiritual forces. So a demon is just another spiritual force. They're another spiritual force. So if they're another spiritual force, that's where he created them. Right? That's where they are. Right? They've been on earth. I mean, the Gemara speaks about it, that that rabbis came in contact with him, and it was never good because they're very destructive, extremely destructive, and Gemara, different places says where they hang out and whatever. But even with that, they don't have the power. They don't have any power today. They don't have any power. No one recognized them anyway. I spoke about demons, whatever, the book of Leviticus. When I spoke about Yom Kippur and the two goats. One goes to Azazel, one goes to God. So I had a whole discussion for weeks. Go on my YouTube channel, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, book of Leviticus chapter, whatever, not 17, 18, but book of Leviticus in general, it's there. There in chapter 10, chapter 11, it's there. Speaking about demons. Spoke about it a lot. But essentially, they are spiritual forces like other angels and other spiritual forces, whatever they may be. So they're created in the same place. Right? They are created. They are created when God created the heaven and the earth. Right? They have different functions. Angels have different functions. You see that three Arabs come to Abraham, come comfort him, after he does circumcision, and there were angels in human bodies. So Rashi says, what were they there for? One was there to heal Abraham. One was there to tell Sarah she's going to have a child. And the third was there to overthrow Sodom. So what do you see? What's one thing you see from that? One thing you see from that is angels do not, can only do one function at a time. Right? They can't multitask. Once they're given a function, God tells them, okay, do this. When they're done, they come back. God will say, okay, do something else. Come here, go there. They have different tasks, but they never have more than one. Right? They never have more than one. They're there to do whatever they're there to do. That's it. So they don't multitask. Right? But they all came from the same place. Right? But they have different functions. And the Ramchal says in Derech Hashem, when he speaks about spiritual forces, he says there are different levels. There are many different levels that angels have. Right? There are many different levels. So some angels that are higher levels, some not. There are angels, let's say, that give power to wind. You have angels that are protecting trees, but if there's a hurricane and the tree's supposed to be uprooted, well, that angel's gone. He's supposed to protect the tree, but the other angel's more powerful. Right? He's got 200-mile-an-hour winds or 250-kilometer-hour winds. So that is gonna overtake. So you see that angels, different power strengths also. But where are they given the power strength from? From God himself. Did the demons decide to become evil, or were they made for evil from the start? Who says they're evil? They have a different function. They're destructive. Destructive doesn't mean they're evil. Right? There are angels, by the way. Right? We'll stay clear. There are angels that are destructive angels. In other words, God uses them to do all kinds of things. Right? One angel, for example, it wasn't a demon. Right? Commentators don't say it was an angel. It wasn't a demon, though. That God's one of these Arabs that came to visit Abraham, his job was to overthrow Sodom. So that's a very powerful destructive angel. Yeah, but there are angels like that God is not evil. There's no evil by God here. They're doing God's will. So even if, we'll call them in English, destructive angels, right? Doesn't mean they're evil at all. God uses them for whatever he wants to use them for. He wants an angel to come, and destroy, Sancherib's army. The angel comes in and wipes them all out. Doesn't necessarily have to be a destructive angel. Right? That doesn't mean that. And angels can't be evil. Right? It's also a big misnomer. Right? Angels are spiritual beings that God controls. That's what they are. And angels are messengers. Now, God can send them on messengers to save people. God can save them, give people information, other things. God can send them to destroy, to destruct. So an angel is parv in a certain sense, meaning it's always going to do God's will. And if God wants to send it somewhere to, let's say, overthrow Sodom, so God will do it. And he'll say, okay, go and, totally wipe out Sodom. Right? So what does angel do? Right? Create sulfur, fire, whatever. Fire came down, boom, wipe them all. Wipe them all. Now, God can take that angel back, and then do other things. That's not his only function. That's not his only function here. Right? But, there are destructive angels as well. God can have his own part of them as well. They don't have to stay that way, per se. I don't think exactly, know exactly how it works, per se, right? But a person has understanding, they're not evil. They're 100%, they're not evil. Right? We look at demons because of society and everything else. We look at demons being evil. Who says demons are evil? Yeah. Demons are known to be destructive. Okay. That make them evil. Right? The assumption is like they're rotten to the core. An angel can't be rotten to the core. It's an impossibility. Why is it an impossibility? Because God created them to do his will. If God created them to do his will, he can make them good angels, do good things. He can make them bad angels, so to speak, and have them destroy things. That doesn't mean they're bad and they're evil incarnates. God's just using them to destroy. So we'll call them a destructive angel. Doesn't mean they're evil. We may look, at destruction as bad, right? Certainly. People wiped out, houses wiped out, other things, very good. But whoever's behind that, which is God, he's using his forces to do it. Does that make the force that destroys, half of Southeast Asia and kills thousands of people, does that make it evil? People may look at it as evil. But that angel doing that, what's his purpose? He's doing what God wants him to do. If we would say, by definition, if we would say that angels are evil, then the one who created them must be evil as well. That would be the assumption, right? That would be the assumption. But we understand God's not evil. God is all good, right? So then the question is, okay, if God is all good, why do people suffer? Good. Why do people tap into evil? God allows them to. Doesn't mean God is bad. We just, we're limited in this world what we understand and what we see. People think, people don't understand how it works. I mentioned many times, things that look bad, can really turn out good, and things that look good can really turn out bad. Right? We don't know. We can't say for sure. Right? Someone say, oh, this looks really good. It does. And it can be good for a while and then turn sour. But really, it really wasn't good. It was really bad. Right? And something really bad, you can say, wow, this is terrible. What's going on for this? But all of a sudden, something else happens. It really turned out good. So we can't make heads or tails out of what is really good, what's really bad. We do understand God is absolute. God is not bad. So again, why is there death, destruction, all kinds of other things? Because people have free choice. Yeah. And nothing happens for no reason. There's measure for measure. We don't always understand the measure for measure, but that's all about suffering. Right? 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 Someone says, doesn't say God created both good and evil. Sure did. Yeah. Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7, he created evil. That doesn't make God evil. Right? That's the mistake. He created it. Why did he create it? See, it'd be very good if we were Zoroastrians. Zoroastrians believe, at least from what I know, they believe there's a good God and a bad God. There's a God who does good things, a God who does bad things. That's very good. Right? So anything that's bad, you blame the bad God. Anything that's good is a good God. But if God is all good, and there's only one, right, which we certainly believe, and there's only one, then why do bad things happen? You say, oh, God created evil. Very good. No pun intended. God created evil. Okay. Does that make God evil? That doesn't make him evil. He created it, as the Ramchal says, to give people free choice. If they want to tap into it, they can. If they don't want to tap into it, they don't have to. Doesn't make him evil, but he created it. This is a major problem for the Christians. That's what we said. That is why they mistranslate Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7. Because where does evil come from them? Mr. S, right? Satan, evil inclination, angel of death, whatever you want to call him. That's where evil comes from. Where do we say evil comes from? God put it in the world. It doesn't make God evil. Not putting a gun to people's heads saying, do this, do that, do the other thing. He's giving them free choice. Well, you're 100% right. He created it. He created good and evil. Someone asks, is it necessary for God to have angels to do his bidding? No. God can do whatever he wants. He doesn't need angels. He absolutely doesn't need angels. Right? Where do we have clear proof that God can do his own bidding? Clear proof is coming out of Egypt, right? As we get closer to Passover. What does it say in the Haggadah? The Passover Haggadah. Passover Haggadah states clear, right? That God says, I didn't send, or the Haggadah says that God didn't, take out the Jewish people through an angel, through an intermediary, through anybody. What did God do? He took them out himself. Intervened himself, right? He showed his power through the plagues, right? Decimation of Egypt. And the Torah says very clear a number of times, Egypt and the world is going to see my power. Now, couldn't God have taken them out through angels, through intermediaries? Yes. But he wanted to make a point. And what was the point he wanted to make? That he's in charge. And that the whole world is going to see. The whole world is going to see that I'm in charge. No intermediaries. That's exactly what the Haggadah says. No intermediaries. You see that from the Torah itself? Very clear. Yeah, it's kind of ironic, a conservative rabbi more than 20 years ago comes out and says, that, exit from Egypt never happened, right? So, okay, so what do you do with most of the book of Exodus? No, it's only a myth or whatever. So why don't we eat matzah? It's a legend. The legend, you told me, never happened. So these things don't matter, right? But the whole point is to show that God took them out, brought them out of Egypt, from the house of bondage. Why did he bring them out? To give them the Torah. He made them into a nation, but he decimated Egypt because they went too far in trying to destroy the Jewish people. He intervened himself. So the Torah says, right, Exodus chapter 20, verse 2, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am the Lord your God, God says. What's the proof? The Torah says, because he took you out of the house of bondage, right? He took you out of slavery. So commentaries ask, very good. Why doesn't it say God created the world? Better proof. God created the world. Didn't God create the world? Everyone agrees. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, God created the heavens and the earth. Very good. But who was there? Who was there when God created the heavens and the earth? Nobody. He himself and himself, right? He was there. Who was there at the giving the Torah Mount Sinai of coming out of Egypt? Let's say better. Coming out of Egypt. 2 to 3 million people witnessed it. That means, by definition, God intervenes in history. He intervenes in history. Right? Now, does God need to intervene in history? No. Or let's say better. Does God need to use angels to do his bidding? No, he doesn't. God can do it himself. 100%, he can do it himself. But why sometimes, or many times, God does it? So the Ramchal says, just like there's justice in this world, and there are many messengers in this world, there are many messengers in the spiritual world. So God has a lot of messengers, you're right. But you could say God's so busy doing other things, he's got his lackeys to do his work. He doesn't do it himself. He doesn't have to get his hands dirty. He's got his lackeys to do it. But sometimes he'll do it himself. Coming out of Egypt, he did himself. He showed the world. Now, if God knows really the thoughts of man, and he knows what man does. So we believe, as the Zohar says, what happens when a person dies, they're going to get judged for their actions. So just like we're recording, every time we do something good, we create a good angel. Every time we do something bad, we create a bad angel, depending how strong or weak or whatever we did, very good. And then when a person dies, God's going to say, okay, who's got testimony on this person, what this person did? And then all these angels come out, and there's a scale, right? And God's going to view the scale however it is. Are there more sins? Are there more mitzvahs? Right? So you could ask the question. You could ask the same question. What's God need to do that for? God needs to, have two angels follow me everywhere I go. Right? Even when he thought it was, safe to read National Geographic in the bathroom. No, think again. Right? So God has two angels following us recording. Why does God need to record? Why does he need the angels to record? Doesn't God know? Isn't it obvious God knows? Why does he do it? Right? So it seems God does it because, just like there's a system of justice in this world, and that person comes in front of a judge, and let's say he's not corrupt. So how does it normally work? You got to bring evidence. You got to bring witnesses. How do you know? You say he did this. A witness come and reject it, and contradict it, and the judge has to, judge it. How he's going to judge it, or go, through a jury, whatever it's going to be. Right? Whatever it's going to be. So the Ramchal says, just like the system of justice in this world, there's also a system of justice in that world, but God doesn't need it. That's the obvious question. You're right. God doesn't need it. What does he need all these angels for? What's the point of having all these angels? You don't need it. God knows everything. From beginning to end, he knows everything. We have free choice. And even though God knows what we're going to do, it doesn't matter. So what does it show? That he's not going to give the judgment, even though he knows what the judgment is going to be. He doesn't need to give the judgments until he hears all the evidence. Right? I'll take it a step further. Right? God says, let us make man in our image. Right? As it says in book of Genesis. Who's he talking to? Right? Who's he talking to? He's talking to his heavenly court. If you say he's talking about the God, that you got a problem, right? Because we don't believe in more than one God. But God says, let us make man in our image. Who's the we? You want to say it's the British we? Who's the we? So who's he talking to? The heavenly court. Does God need to talk to the heavenly court? Right? Does not God need to talk to the heavenly court about creating man? It shows his humility. It says by Sodom. Right? Same thing. Shows God's humility. God doesn't need a heavenly court. He can make his own decisions. A big boy. He can make his own decisions. Does not need a heavenly court. We'll go on record. Does not need a heavenly court. So why does he have it? So Rashi there says to show his humility, to ask even beings that are less than him, what should I do about this? What should I do about that? Why should God care? I care. If I was God, I'm going to have these lackeys like get in my face, get in my business, say, oh, why are you doing this? What do you mean I created the world? Don't worry about it. I'm going to do what I need to do. You don't like it? I'll kill you. I'll destroy you. I'll just turn you into dust. I don't know, spiritual dust, whatever it is. I'll demolish you. I need you to tell me what to do and how to act. Forget it. I need you like I need another hole in my head. Not another hole in the universe. I don't know. Right? Why does God need that? He doesn't. Says Rashi, other commentaries, what's the reason? Show humility. God doesn't need anything. He certainly doesn't need anybody. He's asking angels for advice. Really? If he's omnipotent, omniscient, he needs the angels for advice? I don't think so. He can do it on his own. He doesn't need the angels for nothing. God can do everything all at once. Okay. Make him kind of busy. Right? He doesn't need anything. Right? This shows humility. absolute humility because he doesn't need them. Because he's going to take advice from people much lower than him that he created. Yeah, that have no clue who he is, and they're going to take advice seriously. I don't think so. Yeah, you take a president of a company. Take a president of a company. He wants to run the company in a certain way. Now, you can have other people have other ideas. So he can be generous and say, you know what? I have a suggestion box. Right? I am an enlightened despot. I'm going to put a suggestion box in. Now, it doesn't mean I have to listen to any of it. I'll read it. If I think it's interesting, maybe I'll use it. If I don't think it's interesting, doesn't fit my world outlook, crumple it up. Now, let's say he's doing things wrong. The company should be going in a different direction. He's ruining the company. He can still say, I'm not listening, the company go under. Right? But if he has half a brain, maybe he'll take suggestions. But he doesn't have to. He's the boss. Why does he take suggestions? This is the way it's worked for so long. It's been successful. What do I need? What do I need suggestions? Now you say, if he's got half a brain, and listen to what people have to say. Doesn't mean he has to implement it. He can say no. Yeah. You say, no, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing this. We'll say, interesting idea. I'll think about it. Again, if he's a boss, does he have to do that? Does he have to take into account what other people think? If he wants to have a good company, he should. Right? He wants people to work hard and whatever. Yeah. Fill it with incentives, with other things. Sure. That would make sense. Because he wants it to be good. Don't want to run it like a dictator. But bottom line, he's the one in charge. Does he have to take advice? Doesn't have to take advice. The King of Kings, who does he have to take advice from? Flesh and blood? Angels that he created? That are on a much lower level? You're right. Doesn't need to take advice from anybody. He can do everything on his own. And sometimes he does. Right? Egypt's a very good example. Sometimes he comes and he says, I'm just going to wipe them out myself. I'm going to do it all by myself and show my power in the world. Okay. You don't see that too many times. Why not? Let's get other angels do his work. He don't need to do it. He's busy with other things. But if he needs to make a serious point, that was a serious point. And that, by the way, is the command to believe that God intervenes in history. Right? Exodus chapter 20, verse 2. That is a direct command that we have to believe in God. Not just because, like the Christians, I believe. This is belief and knowledge. That God intervened in history. How do I know he intervened in history? How do I know? When I just say he created the world, because there were 3 million witnesses at Mount Sinai that told the story to their kids and their kids to their kids, to all future generations, that God wiped out Egypt. Now, interesting for a non-Jew, it's a no-Id, even if they don't convert, they don't have a mitzvah to believe in this. That God's in charge, that God runs the world. I would say it's a moral imperative. They should. Not a direct command for a no-Id. Yeah, for a Jew, absolute direct command. But it's belief, says the Chinuch, Sefer Chinuch more than 300-400 years ago. Every parsha speaks about each mitzvah in the parsha. Right? And the mitzvah there in Parshas Yisro, Exodus chapter 20, verse 2, he says, that's the mitzvah to believe in God. That's where the mitzvah to believe in God is. But that's empirical evidence. It's not just I believe, not that he created the world. It's empirical evidence. He took 3 million people or 2 million people, whatever it is, took them out of Egypt to Mount Sinai. 3 million witnesses. That's empirical. You say, oh, come on, you're in a cult. Come on, you just believe. That's evidence. It's huge evidence. Everyone's going to make a Passover Seder. Yeah, you're going to have 3 matzahs, 4 cups of wine. You're going to have charoset. You're going to have bitter herbs or herbs, however you want to pronounce it. Everywhere you go in the world, no matter how diluted, no pun intended, no matter how diluted that Passover service is. Oh, sorry, it's going to be a 5th cup for Elijah the prophet. But everywhere you go, what's it all based on? Exodus from Egypt. A mezuzah you put on your doors. What's it referred to? Exodus from Egypt. Parchment and tefillin. Phylacteries, whatever you want to call it. What is it represented of? Exodus from Egypt. Well, this bozo 20 years ago can paid $1 million a year or more, right? I'm definitely in the wrong profession. Nonetheless, what happened? He said it never happened. So what do you have Passover Seder? What do you have the evening service all about coming out of Egypt? If it never happened, why give so much emphasis on it? Because God intervened in history. It's a major tenet in Judaism. You can't deny that. It makes you a non-Jew if you deny it. You got to repent. Yeah, it takes you out of being a Jew. It's fundamental. That's why when we say the Shema, we say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Right? Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You take on the yoke of heaven. God is unique. Nothing else like him in the world. Then we say, V'ahavtas Hashem Elokecho. To love the Lord your God, taking on the yoke of mitzvahs, because God's the one who gave it to us. So that's crucial. It's absolutely crucial. Right? Kind of ironic. Someone's going to say, nah, it never happened. Really? So why do it? I'm going to eat this crunchy matzah in 35 seconds. I'm going to eat 2 kilos, right? Or, a pound and a half of matzah and have to whistle Dixie afterwards. Like, come on. Why would we do this? Right? Might have, it depends how much wine you drink also. Why would we do this if it never happened? Oh, no, it's a myth. No, it's a legend. No, you said it never happened. But the belief in God and the fact that he runs the world, where did it come from? Where's the mitzvah come from? Exodus chapter 20, verse 2. That God is in charge. He intervenes in history. Yeah. God intervened himself. Now, other times, he had angels do his work. Sanchev, his whole army got wiped out. Angel took care of it. Boom. Overnight, wiped them out. Totally wiped them out. Why didn't God do it himself? He didn't feel he had to do it. He didn't want to get his hands dirty. I don't know. He didn't want to do it. He's got his angels to do it. Certain things, though, he'll do himself. Right? Now, where do you draw the line? Good question. Where would you draw the line, such a thing? When does God decide to do it himself and not? Very good question. Yeah. So if I knew that, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Yeah. We don't know. But God, God does intervene. Definitely intervenes himself when he has to. Yeah. Let me take some other questions here. Someone says, by plants. Okay. In our New York State area used to say there were 40 fruit trees. 40 in the world? Right, use ice pit fruits, let's say cherries, plums, peaches, okay. Colors of the flower, grafted into different varieties. Yeah, range of colors, one tree. Would that be playing with creation? Sure. If you tell me, listen, you take a peach pit, plant it in the ground, and it's got certain flowers as well. Yeah. If everything was good, right? All the conditions were good, plenty of sunlight, plenty of rain, and all that, it's going to produce the same thing. So now you're going to take it and play with it and graft into different things. That's forbidden. 100%. Grafting and coming up with different species forbidden, even for non-Jews, right? Even for Noahide. Spoke about this when I gave a course on the Noahide laws. Also forbidden, because that's playing with creation, right? When you're changing things, right? The question would be if you're making it into entirely new species, right? If you tell me, well, maybe it's the same species, just different color of flowers, I'll still play with it. No different. It's not a totally different species of fruit. Just maybe the flower's different. But he's still playing with creation. All the more so if you create different species, right? But yeah, that in that case, that would be forbidden. Should be forbidden, even for non-Jews. But even if you did it, remember that even if you did it after the fact, then you can get benefit. A Jew can get benefit. A Jew can get benefit, and a non-Jew can get benefit, even if a non-Jew does it, even though it's forbidden. But you're telling me the species are individual, no new fruit. It's just parts of a different fruit. I don't know if that makes any difference. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that should make any difference. Right? So let's say, again, let me see this. Normally it's a plum tree. Grafted different varieties of pit fruit trees onto it. No, so if it's the same thing, and you grafted it together, but it's the same species, it's still That it would be an interesting question because there's a total prohibition of kilayim. I'm not allowed to plant different species of different things next to each other, right? Different types of fruit, different types of grain, because again, we're afraid the roots are going to join and make different species, right? But what if it's the same species? So the Mishnah definitely makes distinctions, and the Mishnah says that there are certain things that even if they're the same thing, let's say you took a domesticated donkey, it's a wild donkey, or a dog and like another species of dog or whatever. In some cases, breeding them or putting them together is forbidden, right? It's called kilayim. It's like it's forbidden to put them together, even if they're the same species, right? I give an example. What do you call it? An esrog. An esrog used on sukkahs, right? It's translated as a citron. What does an esrog look like? It's a lemon. Somehow a species of a lemon, or it looks like a lemon. Or not a species of a lemon, you can't use a lemon. Right? Esrog is its own species. Right? But what if you use a lemon? You say it's similar thing, right? So if it's a similar thing, could I use it? No. Still forbidden. Right? So here you're saying it's the same species, right? I have to double check this, but even if it's the same, even if it comes out the same species, and you let's say you're grafting them together of the same species to come out with different flowers. I don't know. Even if it comes out as the same species, maybe that's less of a problem, right? If it makes, I'll just double check this. If it makes it into a separate species, right, that for sure is forbidden. If it keeps it the same species, that's what you're claiming, then it keeps it the same species, let's say, but you have different, I don't know, you put them together with let's say plums, good example. Let's say you take plums from all over the world, right? You put them together, you graft them together, right? So let's say, for argument's sake, they come out with different flowers. They come out with a species with different flowers, but it's the same thing. I don't know if that's a problem. That I'm not sure if it would be a problem. Same species, right? If it be a different species, yeah, that would be a problem. But if it's the same, if they're grafting the same species, right? So there's no fruit. Just the parts are different fruits. I don't know. I have to think about it more. So I'll have to look into it. But my understanding would be, basically the fruit is the same, and just other parts may be different. I don't know if that makes a difference. I don't know if that would make a difference. Once you make a new species, yeah, but I don't know if that would make such a difference if you put them together, because it's really the same species, right? If it's classified as the same species. If it's not classified as the same species, even though maybe it's the same family but not the same species, then there's a question, because then maybe you're making something else, right? That would be the question. That's what I would say. Someone say most fruit trees today sold are grafted onto wood stock, and they are allowed to be bought or planted. Oh, yeah, I knew someone was going to ask that. The problem is you can't do it though. You can't use it. In other words, if a person took a peach and a plum and made a nectarine, yeah. Now let's say you're going to plant that nectarine. That nectarine I'm allowed to get benefit from. 100% across the board, I'm allowed to get benefit from it. But I can't go back and reuse it, because it was done in a forbidden way. So all these things are grafted, right? That'd be a problem. That 100% will be a problem, right? And you're right. They do have a lot of plants out there that are grafted. That would be a problem. If they're all the same species, it shouldn't be a problem, but they're not. Usually they're not. So here you're telling me it's supposed to stay within the same species. 40 fruit tree internet search, you'll see it. All right. Grafting have different species onto the same. Turns into from grafting have different species on the same tree. That makes sense about for color. All right, if that's the case, then it should be forbidden. Then it shouldn't be forbidden if it's all the same species. Right? Even if it changes the color. Right? I'll take a look at that, but it shouldn't be a problem. Right? The problem is making a new species. Right. So but there are a lot of things, as someone mentions, that you can buy things already grafted. That's a problem. You didn't do it. Okay. Person who did it's forbidden. Right. Am I allowed to plant it? So I would say no. Doesn't matter if you didn't do it. You can get benefit after someone has done it. You can eat the finished product. For you to plant it yourself, it should be forbidden. Definitely should be forbidden. Let me just see the follow up with that. All right. Someone says, looks like a person has a demon in them. That's called a D-book, not a demon. A D-book is a soul that has no eternal rest, and it's getting chased by angels of destruction to rip it to shreds. And it comes back in this world and finds itself in a body. It's called a D-book. It's not a demon, but it's called a D-book. And it's only happened rarely in history. There are very, very few cases of that happening, right? So you're going to say, so I'm going to knock off the first thing, because you're going to say, it looks like a person has a demon in them. It's very rare, extremely rare. Yeah, it can be once in like every 100 years. I mean, it's extremely rare. Yeah, but if that would happen, okay, let's say in theory, yeah, it would happen. And it manifests at a moment, should you pray for them, should you suggest a Torah study to make it leave? The only way to get it to leave, now it understands if it leaves, it's in serious trouble. So one of the things that a D-book, that this soul comes trying to take over another soul in the body, right? Sounds like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Anyone ever saw the movie back in the day? Nonetheless, there was a case where in the time of the Chofetz Chaim, there was a D-book, and they had all these Kabbalists. You need a Kabbalist to do this. You need big time Kabbalists to get this soul out. And so they tried this way, that way, the other way, couldn't get the soul to leave. So finally, one of the things that a D-book cannot stand, as far as I understand, you'll see from the story, and that is holiness. Cannot stand holiness. So finally, the Rabbanim said, if you don't get out of this body, we're going to bring the Chofetz Chaim here. Chofetz Chaim was known as the most righteous of the generation. Every major rabbinic scholar also, no question. If Chaim Moshe Grudinsky was called the Gadol Ador, he's called the greatest rabbi of the generation. Right? The Chofetz Chaim was known as the greatest righteous person, the greatest tzaddik of the generation. Right? So once this D-book heard that, they eventually got it out, because you bring in somebody that holy, as it gets closer and closer, it can't stand it. Right? It can't stand it, and it eventually left the body. But it's very rare. It is very rare. But Torah study is not enough to get rid of it. You need like serious Kabbalists to to deal with this thing. But again, it's very, very rare, very, very rare. If a man abandoned their wife and children, is it wrong since they go back to the family to make sure their wife and children are protected by this man, or is it forbidden to interfere? I would say if you abandoned them, why do you want them back? Why would you want them back? Okay, it's good to have a man around the house and protection and different things, but like someone abandons, should you make the suggestion to go back to the family? I don't think the person's gonna want to. I mean, why did he abandon in the first place? But I'm not so sure how healthy that would be on everybody around. I mean, if the guy leaves, yeah, I understand, woman wants protection and, different things, but like, unless it's like absolute desperate circumstance, why would you want him back? Just for that, because can't be relied on. He just walked out. It depends what the situation is, right? Would I say it's forbidden to interfere? Sure. You know, it depends though what the situation is. Depends why they left. It depends if there's a possibility they could come back. Does the spouse and child want them to come back? Right? It depends on other things going on. I mean, a lot of factors here involved. Knowing what happened to a woman and children abandoned by the father can truly suffer. Okay, that's true, but it could be worse if he comes back. Right? Who says it's going to be good when he comes back? It could be just as bad or worse. You don't know, right? It's horrific to be abandoned, right? 100%. But if they would come back, it might be worse. Again, it depends. It depends on the circumstances. Would a demon enter a person to protect the person during abuse? No. First of all, a demon doesn't do that. It's called a demon. But that's not why he's entering a person. That's not why he's entering. He's entering because his spiritual life is in danger. That's the only reason. He's not there to protect. He's not there to help. He's there to save his own hide. No pun intended. That's what he's there for. He's there to save himself. He ain't there to save anyone else or help anyone else. Someone might say it's multiple personalities. No. Multiple personalities is something else. That doesn't mean you're possessed, right? It doesn't mean you have this soul inside of you. It's a mental health issue. It's a serious mental health issue, but it doesn't mean you're possessed. Definitely doesn't mean you're possessed. Again, even though there is such an idea of a D-book. Okay, right? There's such an idea, very good. Yeah, it doesn't happen all that often. All that often at all. Yeah, let's keep that in mind. It's extremely, extremely, extremely rare. It's rare. Yeah. So even if it would happen, as rare as it is, even if it would happen, they're out to save themselves. They're not out to help anybody. They're not out to save anybody. They're out to save themselves. But not only that, they also cause problems. And that is because they know other things, right? They've been around the world and back. No pun intended. There was a story somewhere in the States, I don't know, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, more that this D-book opened its mouth and started saying all kinds of things about people in the community. And it came out that, this D-book knew what he was talking about. So, but they are there to save themselves. That's what they're there for. They're not there to protect anyone, save anyone, or anything else. Is there any problem having a cat or fish tank as a single woman? No. Fish tank for sure not. A dog is a problem, right? Definitely a dog's a problem. For a single woman, a cat. I don't hear any problem with the cat. More with a dog. Is it pro-match to have potted plants inside the home? Potted plants not a problem. Definitely not a problem. There is an issue. People would say, having non-kosher animals in the house, but yeah, certainly for a woman and a dog would be a problem. The single woman, right? Let's say a cat. I haven't heard that there's a problem, but some people won't have pets anyway because it's not, they're what do you call it? Trafe animals, right? Have them around. Someone was asking my Rabbi about having what was it called? Let's say having rabbits or something like that. Kids wanted rabbits. So he said, okay, if you want to have them, don't bring them in the house. Leave them outside. Okay, if it's too cold, whatever. Okay, you don't want to freeze to death or whatever. But in general, you don't want to bring it into your house, right? But there are people that have rabbits. I'm not going to say a person more unorthodox. They have dogs. They have dogs. It's funny. I was in South America. I wasn't living in a religious neighborhood. I mean, there was not a lot of religious Jews there, but every house, nobody had kids. Everyone had a dog. Everybody had a dog. So I had a neighbor that had I call this dog Cujo because this dog was like the middle of the night, be like 2, 3 in the morning, be like barking its head off. Yeah, that's why I called it Cujo. But yeah, there are plenty of places in the world they don't have kids, but they have animals. You know, who doesn't have a dog? A lot of people have dogs. Um, man's best friend. But yeah, Jews don't. I would say Orthodox Jews don't have pets. They don't have pets. Again, if someone's in a more modern community, they have pets. They do. I'm not gonna say not. So they'll say, what's the problem? Man's best friend. What's the problem? Not a single woman. What's the problem? Right. So, one issue is by what you see also. And, who wants a non-kosher animal around? Tell my kids all the time, you want an animal? You live on your own? Good luck. Ain't gonna happen here. It's like, come on, you got a brother, you got a sister, come on. No. And then after a while they realize what it takes to take care of it and whatever. And yeah. So that's what I'd say about that. Potted plants are fine. Regardless, man, woman, doesn't matter. That's gonna be fine. Yeah, any other question? I guess I'll hold off the other questions till Thursday. Yeah, any other questions? Someone says an American who needs a dog when he's a gun. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. A lot of people have dogs. A lot of people have dogs. Yeah, people that they have these dog psychiatrists, psychologists, whatever. Like I said, I'm definitely in the wrong profession. I know somebody that whatever, they have they have a dog, so once a week the dog goes to what do you call it? I don't, it's not school, it's I don't even know. I forget what you call it. They go for a day to hang out with other dogs. Someone to watch. It's like camp for dogs, right? One day a week, right? They send them out. They interact with other dogs or whatever. So so they were telling me this. I laughed. I was like, come on, really? Like, no, it's very good. Social skills, interactive skills. I mean, come on, you can't make this stuff up. Maybe there's some level of truth to it. Again, I'm a dog lover at heart, but come on, send a dog to camp once a week, really? You know, dogs got rights. Dogs allowed to get out there. Come on, the dog go to camp, enjoy, hang out with its friends. Okay, sounds weird. So I can say, just it just sounds weird. It just doesn't register. So it doesn't register. So you say, okay, you've been out of the loop for a long time, probably, but you know, they'll say it's good for them and it's social interaction. Again, in my heart of hearts, I'm a big dog lover. Yeah, it's a dog. It's a dog. No offense to any pet lovers out there. Probably offend a lot of people. It's a dog. Yeah, I'm not saying you abuse it. You're not allowed to abuse animals. You got to take care of it. You got to feed it before you eat. There are laws guarding this. Guiding this. I get it. This is a little bit much. Remember, a couple of years ago, I was in the States. So after Shabbos, we're walking by, like one of these dog places. I'm like, see, this is what I should be doing. I can talk to anyone. I can probably talk to a dog. Probably inspire a dog. Why not? Why not? Definitely the wrong profession. Yeah. Any other questions? I mean, the problem is also like you get attached to these dogs and they die and something happens and someone like their dog got ripped to shreds by a wolf and everyone like saying, send condolences. It's like a member of the family died. I mean, okay, I get it. They're very attached. It's a horrible way to go, I guess. Getting ripped to shreds by by what do you call it? By a fox. But like people were posting like they were sitting shiva, like they were mourning. That I get it. There's a close connection. I get it. But I don't know. It's a bit much. It's a dog. Okay, it's sad. It's part of the family. We've had this dog 15 years, and that it can't see, and it has other problems, and it's all mitzvah to take care of it till the end. I have to do open heart surgery to save it. I don't think so. Right? Or it's got cancer. I know someone, a dog, for health reasons, for mental health reasons. Some of their, one of their kids, the dog just like at the end got very, very sick. had cancer and other things, and like they just had no choice. They had to put it down. And like, you know, they were devastated. I mean, I understand. I'm not saying I don't care and whatever, but that they treat it like it's part of the family. Okay, right? Dog's around 10 years, 12 years, 30 years, whatever. Anything happens to it, it's like all around this dog. So, yeah. Someone asked, propagating trees. Yeah, that's not a problem. I don't think rooted cuttings, I don't think it's not a problem. But I will say it's a medrash. I think it's medrash that says, which amazing, amazing medrash that says that when you cut down a tree, use it for wood, whatever you're going to use it for, the tree screams from the pain of cutting it. The only problem is we don't hear it. If we would hear it, imagine, you start to chop, you hear like a loud, unbelievable scream from the tree. Like you ain't gonna cut it. Like so God makes it that you don't hear it. It's a medrash, right? The medrash says that. But cutting it down is not a problem. Right? Propagating shouldn't be a problem. Somebody asked when I mentioned about blessing food. Blessing would apply to all food eaten with the same location. Right? But would you have to do a new blessing if you change location? Depends. Right? Does that mean upstairs or downstairs in a building? Only switching to a new building. If, let's say, your own house, make it easy. Right? Make it easy. In your own house, shouldn't have a problem. If you walk outside your house, if you're only there for a little bit of time, other people are there eating, or you have intention to eat, that wouldn't be a problem. In the same building, if you have intention to go back to the same location, also not a problem. Once you walk outside the building, also you have to have intention. 100%. You have to have intention. If you're going to continue to eat in that second building, very good. Right? If you didn't have intention, then you have to stop, make an after blessing, and then, when you go outside, you're going to eat something, whatever, make a new blessing. Any other questions? Someone says there seems to be a lot of men abandoning their families. Okay. I'm not I wouldn't be in the know of that. So they leave a wife and children and don't realize the ramifications. Okay. But again, ask the question. You say it's better they come back for the sake of the household. But who says coming back is going to help? Right? Maybe it's worse. Maybe it's better they left. Maybe it's better they left. Or let's say they're unabandoned. Let's say the husband and wife fight a lot and they have kids. And it can't be remedied. You don't say the husband should stay there. You just, both of them are miserable, for the sake of the kids. Some people will do that for the sake of the kids. But then it's worse. It's worse. In the long run, it'd be better if they get divorced. In the long run. Yeah, the kids will need help. The wife will need help, how to manage on their own and different things. Okay, but it's a lot better if they're together. And the kids see them bickering and making fun of, destroying each other in the process. That's worse. Right? That's worse. So then, it's a mitzvah to leave. It's a mitzvah to get divorced. Right? Now, if someone abandons, I'm just asking a question, you'll say there are a lot of people that have done it. Okay. But who says coming back is the answer? And who says the woman should take him back? I mean, guys walked out. Or they have nothing to do with either, the wife or the kids. Why is that better? They come back. Yeah. Why? I don't know if that's going to be better. If they got help, they're working together, going through therapy, there's that. I could hear it. Right. But just going back because, the wife's abandoned, the kids are abandoned. I'm not saying, I don't know if that's a good reason. I don't know if that's a good enough reason. Yeah, let me see other questions. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna stop here. I just every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Israel time. Anyone has any questions? You can find me at Michael Kaufman on Facebook, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, OrthodoxConversion.com, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos on Q&As, ethics for our fathers. Book of Leviticus, you want to send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHAIM